I was excited when you hit me up. I like doing podcasts like this.
Oh, nice, nice. I'm very happy because I was like, I need to like I've been a little bit out of everything because I had the league open, we had the qualifier, and I did like every week with different country, different competitions, and I was like, I need to get back on the circuit of East versus West.
Yeah, man, it's coming up soon. It's coming up fast, actually.
It is coming up really, really fast, and I'm really excited because the not like the tournament before that, so all the arm wrestlers gonna stay and watch the event, and energy
Yeah,
just
yeah,
should be different.
yeah. It'll be interesting to see what that tournament's all about. Is that beforehand or after?
No,
That's before.
before like early morning it starts, and then yeah. But the
Okay.
classes that there's because it was like I think 6 qualifiers in Europe, and eventually it got to 5 because one was canceled, and from each like there's 2 people just qualify, and not everyone is coming. So
Uh,
yeah, I would think I hoped it would be like big classes, 20, 30 people there, but it's gonna be little shallow classes, but it doesn't matter. It's should still be high level and interesting, and
yeah, for sure.
yeah. So Adam Wawrzynski, you're gonna face a guy that's holding a lot of weight on his last name, Bacho Saganishvili.
Yes, sir. That's right. Bacho Saginashvili. I'm not.
So I've been like I don't know much about him because he I think he pulled juniors, but Georgians have been out of World of Arm Wrestling for quite some time, like 4 years, and
Yeah.
only the guys that pull East versus West. So I know everyone there, but the new guys are kind of a little bit unknown. So I will
Mhm.
ask you the question that I was thinking because
Yeah.
you just beat 6-time off world champion in Bozhidar. Not only beat, he was a mile ahead. And now you're facing pretty unknown guy that, in my opinion, you have to be really special to be put in the same conversation as Bozhidar, right?
hmm hmm
So how do you feel about that match and how it came to be?
Well, um, I'm glad you asked it that way because a lot of people don't really see it. I feel like that's the logical way to look at it, but a lot of people don't see it that way. I, I mean, I'll tell you the same thing that I told Engen. I truly take. I mean, if I'm offered a match at East versus West, which has only been twice now, but at that level of a super match series, I understand that my opponent, no matter who they are, is there for a reason. They're not there because they, mopied their way up to the top or didn't get, they're there for a good reason. And I do not, I mean, nonetheless, I don't underestimate any of my competition. I mean, everybody to me, I put on the same high throne, So, but I mean, to get more into I mean, it's definitely, I mean, I wasn't upset about it. And I wasn't, kind of like, dang, and I just pulled Bozadar, well, why am I not pulling somebody, I mean, from what everybody's talking about and saying, this guy, he may be at that next level, you know. I mean, like you said, there's really not a whole lot out there. I mean, there's more videos of him lifting weights than there is of him arm wrestling. And the videos of him arm wrestling are from, a few years ago, which, by the way, he's only 18. So, 15 and 16, there's a big difference between 15 and 16 and 18. I mean, you might as well not even look at that, you know? So it's kind of scary because it's a huge unknown. It's a huge unknown. And all I can take from it is what I'm hearing. And, that's realistically the worst thing to do is believe everything you hear. But I have to. I'm forced to believe everything I hear about this guy. I'm forced to take it personally because there's nothing else for me to reference off of other than weightlifting videos. But I mean, we see guys. I mean, look, just because you can lift a lot of weights doesn't mean you can arm wrestle.
This is
That's
arm. This is different.
yeah. It's. I mean, you could sit there and get the right angle for your curl or wrist curl and say this is exactly how I do it on the table, and then you could get on a table and just absolutely, and where's it at, right? So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
It's like it's good that you're taking it like not lightly, because that might be a trap, because Georgians speak very highly of him, like the level. But for me, it's always like, I need to see you compete before I will give you anything. Like I have to see you compete in competitions. So I think for him it's a huge opportunity, and for you you shouldn't take off your, how to say, pedal off the gas, because you have to push it. You need to make it look like you made Borzidar look, so to get that next step.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just like you said, you have to see, for you have to see competition to kind of verify what everybody's saying. And I believe it's that way for most people. I believe it's that way for, Engen and everybody too. So just the fact that there really isn't that much out there and he's getting that is what's like, there's something about him that we don't know, that somebody else knows. There's something about him that we don't know that somebody else knows. And, because Engen's not just giving him enough. How many people do you think hit up Engen every day and say X, Y, or Z person deserves a shot at East versus West?
Yeah.
Probably hundreds.
Yes, I would think so.
But he's getting the shot. So there's something we don't know that other people know. So that's why I'm believe me, I'm not taking this match lightly at all.
Just like when I saw your performance versus Borzidar, what I thought, I was like, Sasha, because there's a big difference between Borgi and Sasha, and then was a big difference between you, and I was like, set this up, both gonna blast, but of course Sasha is pulling Paul in, and it's a good match, but eventually you're at that 90 kilo limit, right? Or 95, or
yeah, I mean, I'm kind of right there. I sit around 95. Making 90 is no problem with some preparation.
Do you have limit for this?
95. 95.
Okay. Like the class is 95.
For East versus West Knots, it's going to be 95. So no weight cut for me really. But yeah, 90 kilos is something I reserve for very high level matches. I won't get down to it for tournaments or local events, unless it's really worth it to me, in my opinion. So
I think like you surprised me like in that match. I didn't expect that. I expected a lot of things. I saw you perform in Arizona State versus Brent, but it was just and you did pretty much the same thing you did there. And I remember I'm watching. I'm like, this is so impressive. This is ridiculously impressive.
I appreciate it. I mean, I surprised myself too, Ray. I mean, I didn't, going into that match, I also really didn't know what to expect, even though there was clearly a lot of footage out there of him. I'm like, the footage was intimidating to watch, because here's a guy who's been on the world stage for a long time and has been excelling for a long time. And then here's me, who has never been outside of the US. And I'm like, what am I supposed to, but honestly, looking back at it, I think a lot of people see what I did that day, and they kind of, may hold me higher than I should be held. I mean, Bozidar is he's the same Bozidar. Like, he shouldn't be taken down at all from that. I just think that the size of my hand, my frame, there was a lot of small factors that he may not have been prepared for, not because he wasn't training or anything, but because he just may have never seen it in those lighter weight classes. I don't know, but I think the size difference, I'll just say the size difference, and you can take that however you please. I think it made a big difference, and it made it look worse than it actually was. Truthfully.
Well, like, he couldn't follow you in any position. Like, every position where he was strong, you just were stronger. And maybe the size and everything else. But I remember the conversation we had after t-shirt signing, and I talked to you a little bit, and you're like, I'm kind of a little bit pissed that he went to a tournament right before this.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of things that I'll use to get myself prepared and to hype myself up. And, when I saw that he went to that tournament, I think it was what, 3 weeks? Was it 3 weeks or 2 weeks before? Two. Yeah. Yeah. It was 2 weeks. So I was like, I'm thinking to myself, he must just think he's going to run right through me. I mean, I don't know about you, but it's not so much that going to a tournament 2 weeks before that you're not going to be back, ready to pull in 2 weeks. But in my mind, if I have one of the biggest matches of my life, or if I'm taking somebody, or if I have one of the biggest matches in my life, you know, why would I stop the progression of training and preparation to pull a tournament? I mean, yes, I could be the same puller that I was before that tournament in 2 weeks, but if I wouldn't have pulled that tournament, I'd have just a little bit more training under my belt. Or, God forbid, what if you sustain an injury? Or what if you pull something, strain something? Who knows? To me, it's a ballsy move, but I understand that a lot of people don't take it that way at all. A lot of people are like, yeah, I go pull a tournament and no problem, pull again in 2 weeks. And that's just their style, and that's just their way of going. It's not my way. And, I mean, yeah, of course it took a little, it'd be like, I mean, how would Bacho feel if, you know, next weekend I was going to a huge tournament in the US and it was just like, and just pulled it. I mean, he'd be like, this guy thinks he's going to run through me, that's just my,
I think he did think he's going to run through you. I think that.
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And, he was riding high, he just beat Worlds. Then week later, he went there and that's, so, and the one thing I learned from competing a lot, you get drained mentally, physically. You will always get, doesn't matter if it's easy, doesn't matter. You're still in that mode and it will just take away and take away. Eventually you will crumble on it. But you did like amazing job. And yes, super impressed. I can't be even more impressed. But what I'm looking at, so I have a question for you. So I'm looking at, what is this? Arm Fighter rankings. You're number 11 with left arm. And Brent is number 1 and you beat him. What am I missing here?
Left arm.
Left arm.
Oh, left arm. Yeah. That's
okay. Then,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're number two with right arm. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Have you pulled Daniel ever? Or
yeah, actually I've gripped up. I've pulled Dan officially one time. That was was it November of 2020? And he just smoked me. Absolutely smoked me. He smoked everybody that day. I mean, he smoked Dallas, he smoked me, he smoked Chad.
Yeah.
And it was just yeah. I'm definitely not the same puller now as I was in 2020, but Dan Mosier's a guy I would definitely be fearful to arm wrestle. He's got some tools and weapons that are very hard to stop, and
he pulls. It's when you half of your game is getting that hand control, and while you're trying to get a hand control, he pins you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, when you're trying to, like, you want to curl him or cup him, and he just blasts on you. So yeah. There's one style that he kind of still can beat, and then everyone's kind of going with that style to beat him. But there's sometimes you just can't, and he's so fast and just hits to the side so powerfully. It's insane. Yeah.
Thousand. Yeah. Name of the game.
We haven't seen Dan in a while, also. I think, right?
What's that?
Like, Dan hasn't competed in a while, also.
I
maybe
think
some smaller tournaments.
Yeah, well, I think he had a wrist injury that he had surgery on not too long ago. It was a little while ago now, though. I want to say maybe 2-3 months. But when you have a surgery like that, or you get something worked on, I don't blame him. Take your time, get back into the game. Don't rush things. He has nothing to prove to anybody. So, but we should be seeing more of him here soon, I would think.
I think he would fit in this whole East versus West conversation really good. And he's like, when he went to Zloty and no one understood what the hell is happening, he took second place. You know, is
Yeah.
did some insane wars, and I think he has only progressed since then. So
And he made 85 for Zloty.
yes, yes,
So he may be a contender for,
yeah.
that 85 spot, depending on what happens in a couple weeks. He may be the guy. I mean, if Alcester can't get the job done, which I'm excited about that match, I think he can. Um, Dan might be the guy.
So it's I think it's good that the whole concept is East versus West, and
Mm-hmm.
it'd be bad when West has nothing to offer at any point. And I feel like there's a lot of guys to offer because
There are,
it's so big, and most guys haven't even pulled each other like in the rankings you can see. But they're like, oh no, we never pulled. You know, we just based this on this, and
yeah,
there's that 85 is good, and I think all the classes, maybe the lightweights are, lightweights here on this side are just level above, but everything else, I feel it's up for
it,
grabs.
yeah. I think the gap is definitely closing throughout all the classes. I mean, definitely in the lighter classes, we're more behind than we are as you get heavier. But man, I really think, I mean, the gap is closing. I mean, and there's so many guys that I can just think of right now, where I'm just happy to go over and represent. That for one of me, there's 10 other guys that can, I believe, can do the same job. So
Has the
like,
motivation changed? Do you like in USA part, has it changed? Because at one point it was pretty downhill. It was like,
yeah,
we are, they are there, and John's retired, and this guy's not pulling, but now it
right.
looks like more and more, more and more.
Yeah. I think as a whole, when you have an event like East versus West and you see everyday guys who came from the bottom of the sport and worked their way up, go over there and excel, I think that puts a fire under the average guy who's just been arm wrestling. I mean, think about it. You got your stars who've always been your stars, who have always been good since good has been good. You got your Catarets, your Chafies, I mean, everybody. But when you got guys like, Chan Shaw, Paul Lynn, myself, and so many others that, did started just, hey, we just heard about arm wrestling and got into it. And now, setting the example of, hey, you can be at this level and you can do this. I think it's putting a fire under the whole, American arm wrestling community, especially when, we're still showing up to local tournaments and still competing at that level and doing things and just being intermixed with the community as a whole. It's firing people up. They're getting excited,
I think the
and
one thing
awesome.
usually when someone comes, you come here and you have a great match and you win, or or you have a close match, and
Yeah,
anyone who has pulled you and stopped you, they're thinking like, I'm not that far. I'm not that
right,
far, right? And
right.
the motivation just helps. And I see this comment all the time. They're like, Engin just loves to show that West is weaker. I'm like, didn't you understand what is happening? Like with all these opportunities, with all these matches, the level is just rising and rising everywhere.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's just a dumb thing to say to show that. I mean, if our best guys are going up against their best guys and we are getting beat, that's not Engin trying to that the West is weaker. That just means the West is weaker. You know, no, I think Engin's given us an extreme opportunity, and I think it's doing wonders. I think it's great. I
Yeah.
mean, it's the best thing that's happened in arm wrestling in the 8 years that I've been doing it by far. You know,
I think so too, because like first time in a long time, the best guys are facing the best guys. It's king of the
yeah,
table, it's East versus West, but we had before that those leagues were trying to take the athletes and keep them for themselves, and now everything is kind of fluid. You can move around, and you can and everyone their own. Some will like this, some will like this more, and it's awesome. But we're finally seeing a movement in arm wrestling, you know,
that's
Yeah.
Yeah, great. I
So,
hope he keeps it up. I really do, because he's going places with this.
oh, definitely, definitely. He might have some small, where he gets too angry. He'll come
Yeah,
down and still keep happening.
yeah,
He will never let go of arm wrestling. He will let go of
yeah.
everything else but arm wrestling. Yeah.
He's
Uh,
the best. Absolutely love his passion and his drive for the sport. And
yeah.
it's just, we're gonna have little hiccups. There's gonna be people who complain and yawn. You could give them 10 basins of silver and gold, and they'll still, find the little blemish on the, but look, you got to ignore that, and we keep moving forward.
Exactly. So you kind of touched on it. This is your arm wrestling for 8 years, right?
Yes, sir.
So
Yeah.
how did you start?
Man, I was a senior in high school last year, and I was a big American football guy. Our family grew up, it was all about football. And when that finished up, and I wasn't sure if I was going to play at the next level, I was kind of, what do I do? I was a big workout junkie, trained my butt off for football. And I think it was December of 2014. I was in the living room watching TV with my dad, and a show on AMC came on called Game of Arms. And I was like, this is awesome. And man, I'll tell you what, I just got on the internet and looked for tournaments. And at the time, WL, remember they were doing that big tournament style qualify to get up to the regionals and final? Well, I mean, there was one in pretty close to me in my area. I went to a tournament. I placed first. Now, granted, it would have been the amateur 220 class. And I mean, now looking back at it, that tournament wasn't very loaded that day, but it was fun. And there were some good pullers. Um, but nonetheless, that qualified me to go, because it didn't matter whether you placed 1 through 3rd amateur pro, you got to go. So my dad was like, senior trip, let's go to Vegas, pull this arm wrestling tournament. And I went to Vegas, and I was like, this is not what I saw in Titusville, PA. The weigh-in line was like 2 hours. There had to have been at least 800 people. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is nuts. And of course, I did win a match that day, or the day after. It was in the straps. I don't remember who it was against. And, I was planning on going to the Citadel Military School in the fall. And I did do that. So, I wasn't totally to the gas after that, but I was like, I want to hang on to this, and I want to do this someday. So I went and I played 4 years of college football. Never really gave up the sport. I had a table at my apartment off campus, and I trained when I could, and I made maybe a tournament a year. But after football, the pedal was to the metal, and I just went after it. And that's kind of how I got started.
That's a cool story, from Game of Arms, and then you finish get the tournament, and then you do the whole trip. That's when they make a movie about you, that's gonna look awesome.
Yeah, I guess you could throw some dialogue in there and make it a cool movie, huh?
So how is your training right now looking? How many days a week do you work out? For how long? What it's kind of combined of? More general training stuff, more specific table time? Just let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So, training is something I feel like I'm doing all the time. Maybe it's just because I'm always thinking it. But I've been training. I do about 5 days in the gym, and one hard practice day. Well, one hard practice day, and then I'll do like a midweek light practice. It's more like drilling, not really hard arm wrestling, but kind of working position, speed, more so a mental thing. And the gym days it's changing now that it's more towards match time. It's more speed, crisp reps, explosivity, incorporating the core within head to toe body movements. I try to get into stuff like that more so as match comes on, because I feel like what that does is some people will strength train all the way up and say, well, I'm getting stronger, I'm getting stronger, I'm getting stronger. And that's not bad. But for me, I get banged up a lot when I'm training with heavy weights, especially when our practices on Sundays are pretty brutal. So I call that the beatdown phase. And I'll do that up until about, anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks match time. And then I kind of convert that into that, hey, we just built all the power. Now let's build the drivetrain and make it efficient to where it's going to transmit where I want it to. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. Not too heavy of weights, moderate. Some things are a little on the heavy side, but a lot of bands, a lot of chains, a lot of directional movements through the core, from the hips to the shoulder. Um, I'm kind of a workout junkie, and I've always been. So that aspect of arm wrestling is very interesting to me, and I'm always expanding my mind and trying to train in a way that makes me the best version of me come game day. Everybody does. Everybody does the same thing. Everybody trains hard. Everybody does, a lot of pronation, and who can do the most back pressure, and who can wrist curl the most, and who can, that kind of stuff is only going to get you so far. You got to train like an athlete. You look at every professional sport out there, at least in the USA, football, basketball, baseball, even, hockey. Those guys don't go in the gym and train to, mimic what they're doing in their sport. Football players don't squat because they're squatting on the field. They don't bench because they're benching on the field, whatever. They are training to be athletes, and then they go to practice and put it all together. And I feel like arm wrestling is the same way. You gotta train to be a strength athlete with respect to what your sport is doing, and then go to practice and make it all happen and put it together. And that's where I'm at right now in the end phase.
That's like, I can feel that you have experience as a pro athlete pretty much on those 4 years in college. So you had to put all that sport into this sport. And what I call your style of training is efficiency training. It's not about if I'm strongest, but if I'm being the most efficient on what I'm doing. Because, am I right? That's what you plan to do.
Absolutely. Strength is a big part of our sport.
Of course.
And you have to train to get strong in certain phases, but strength is not everything. And you can be as big and as strong as you want to, but if it's not connecting and your drivetrain isn't involved, and you can't be in tune with the other aspect as well, speed is just as big in our sport as strength is. I think so. I mean, look at how many guys that are so fast off the go, and you don't even get to engage your strength because they're just beating you to the punch, and they're explosive. It's important.
That was great. This will be single clip because it was awesome. People need to hear this more.
Yeah.
So from all the matches right now, like you go through Bacho, what would be next your ideal? Like if someone asks, look, who do you want? Who do you want?
It's a hard question for me to answer, Coach, because it's hard for me to look past. It's hard. And it doesn't matter who that guy would be. It could be Bacho, it could be somebody else. It is very hard for me to look past.
Okay. What are your future aspirations? What would you want to achieve in this sport?
To answer your question, I really love, and I'm so fortunate for the opportunity to go overseas and pull against the best guys that are over there that I would not be able to arm wrestle here. And, it's not so much that I have like these, somebody in mind, or, a title that I'm chasing, but I really, if things were to go my way and I am successful against Bacho, who's the next guy? And as far as level, who's the next guy? Because, and that kind of goes hand in hand with just progressing in general. Because if you keep pulling better guys, eventually you're going to get where you want to be. I mean, everybody wants to be at the top, right? Everybody wants to be the best in the world, or the best in their weight category, or the best in a certain league. And for me, it's really just a test of myself. Some guys have that mindset out there. I'm going to beat so and so, or give me a year and I'm going to beat this guy. And they use everyone else as their standard. For me, the only standard is this guy. That's the standard. And I try to wake up and be a better version of me than I was yesterday. And if I go to East versus West May 6th and I'm able to defeat Macho, Lord willing, then I just want to test a better version of myself. So who's the next guy? I mean, unfortunately, sorry, let me rephrase it. Fortunately, the East versus West title is held by a fellow American, Paul Lynn. I don't have any desire to take that away from him. I'm just happy that it's in the U.S. If it so comes to be where, you keep facing better guys and there's no, I mean, that's a perfect world scenario. Paul and I keep beating better guys, and all of a sudden we have no choice but to pull. It's not ideal, but that would be great. I mean, that means that we're both getting to be on that level. But if Paul Lynn didn't hold the title, then I would say, hold the East versus West title for 95 kg. But because he holds that, that's not like a chasing goal of mine. Ultimately it is, but you see where my mindset is.
I understand. I absolutely understand everything you say. And I think, again, when they're going to make a movie about it, if that's how it ends up, perfect.
Yeah.
So how is your mindset right now? How you going to spend the last, it's like 3 weeks left, right? 3-4 weeks. How it's going to be with the training and with all the stuff?
Training is just going to be even more of putting it all together. When I go in the gym, it's going to be less of the, one day is push and pull, one day's push, one day's pull, one day's shoulders, blah, 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 but more so of integrating that all together to where it's kind of full body generation of specific strengths that I've been training in the past to get strong with. In practice, it's going to be more game day scenarios. Of course, our practices, we train. There's a referee setting us straight and making sure our shoulders are square and giving us a ready go. But it's going to be more of, hey, let's stop grabbing people low for a workout and let's start focusing on how I'm going to grip in competition. Fortunately, I don't have to really do much of a weight cut, so I don't really have to focus so much on the diet side. But mindset's going to be dialing in. For me, it's a lot of prayer and supplication and, really understanding what I'm going over there to do. Some people take it as a vacation or as an opportunity, and I don't see it like, I mean, I'm being called to go over there to do something. And for me, it's a matter of, being humble and understanding who I represent. And that's not just a single somebody. That's a big block of who I represent. There's a lot of names and entities that fall under that. And, when I start to come to realize that, it's extremely humbling, and, it's a mission. It's a mission. And that's kind of where my mind starts to go and comes to realize closer and closer and closer and closer, and I gotta do what it takes to get the job done.
Again, that was awesome. That was really awesome, man. You deserve every bit of it. And I think we're going to see much, much more of you in the next year's coming, and all but good things. Which, give me 2 matches of the whole card that you're like, I want to see this. Like, I really want to see this.
Interesting. Well, it's hard to pick because I want to see. I can't wait to see them all. But
Of course, that's we all say, but there's like, the tingling feeling you get.
yeah. Okay. Let's see. I'll tell you what. Ongerbayev versus Irakli is going to be a good one, and I can't. That's going to be a. That's one that I'm really excited for. Um, and then of course, I love seeing Paul get tested. I mean, I just love it because I feel like he and I kind of have a lot of the same values and we share a lot of the same ideas. So I love seeing him compete. And then of course, like Devin and Gennady, and here's why. Not so much because a lot of people, I mean, Devin's obviously super, super popular and he's kind of the man in the sport, but we saw, we saw his, his limit was Levon. He got beat. I mean, everybody gets beat, right? But like, where is it under him? Where is it under him? Because I just feel like Devin Larratt doesn't know how to lose. He's just really good at not losing. It's not so much that he's like just got this great one move. And he's so good at winning. He's just, I mean, and I hope if he's watching, he doesn't take this the wrong way. He's just really, really, really good at not losing. He knows how to not, he knows how to keep himself from being pinned. And it's exciting to me that he's getting these bigger matches. And, I mean, like I said, Levon was his limit, and that was ever so long ago. And I kind of want to see where it's at under. Is he the true number 2 guy in the world? That's what I want to. So that's why I'm excited about that too.
Yeah, that match will give us a lot of details as well as Paul Lynn, and like you said, all the matches are really like exciting. You start thinking about one, you end up thinking about another one.
That's what my head was kept on turning, and I'm excited to see all the Americans pull. I mean, because all of us just, we obviously keep tabs with each other, and yeah, I'm really excited for all of them.
So I had some. We're gonna end this, but before I have some super matches. Super chats, and none of them are real questions, but they are just like sending love. Doug Ehrlich, Adam for the win. First beer on me, fellas. See you in a few weeks. Tony Farina, good morning, guys. Sup, Adam? What a strong dude. Donnie Anderson, Adam is all-around champion. Carolina Chaos. And Brian Summerlin, I want to be like Adam when I grow up. We all want to be like Adam when we grow up.
Love all you guys, man. Those guys are all great dudes. They're all supporters, and we all just support each other. It's one big family. Let's just all keep going this way.
That's what I saw with West. West is all so together because most of the time you're the same country, or just Canada, right. And you're like, okay, come in, But yep. Like the East is like 20, 30 different countries. Most of them don't speak the same languages. And so it's kind of, you support your side, but you're like, But here I feel like it's very big, and I felt it in every single event. And I think it's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of those countries are probably the same size as our states.
Yes.
And
smaller.
They're just, like you said, language barriers. It's even though they're smaller, it's like, I mean, again, it's a whole different country between those guys. And for us, even though, some guys may live 800 miles away, 1,000 miles away. I mean, we're still just, we know about each other. We've spent time with each other at tournaments. We've competed against each other, and, we're just all excited to come together and go overseas and pull guys from other nations. It's a fantastic opportunity. So yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah. That support helps. I feel it like every time I watch it. Paul Lynn is the champ. Let's be honest.
He is. He's just a great, if you can't get behind Paul Lynn, you need to just, what are you doing? Like,
exactly.
Say my challenge to anyone watching this right now, come up with one bad thing about Paul Lynn. That's true.
That's true.
And give factual evidence to support it.
Yes.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. I want to thank you, Adam. I'll see you very, very soon on East versus West. I want to say to everyone who's watching, thank you for tuning in. On 15th of April, I will have Cody Merritt. On 16th, I will have Brandon L. Sesser. And then the whole next week, again, more podcasts with more people from East versus West. Adam was the first one because I like him the most. Okay, thank you, Adam. Thank you. Do you have anything to say for the people or Bacho?
Man, Ray, thank you. You're doing great things for the sport, and I appreciate you having me on. Bacho, I hope you're training hard, brother. Get on that table more. Don't be doing all the weightlifting. It's not a powerlifting show.
Okay, guys, thank you for watching. Stay strong and love arm wrestling.